Hello and welcome to the Oval. I'm sitting here with returning host Alexa Horvath.
Hey guys.
I'm Tess Quinlan and we have some new hosts here today.
Tyler Araujo.
And I'm Andrew Bonilla. And to start off what was a wild week in news, we start with the NFL and Tua Tagovailoa and a concussion scare. So basically on Sunday, 2 Sundays ago, he's playing a game right before the end of the first half. And he goes down. Anyone who's watching it sees him wobble. He's fallen to the ground. Everyone who knows football goes, okay, that's a concussion. He goes back in at halftime. There's an independent doctor who goes, yeah, he's good to go. Now this guy was just fallen 5 minutes ago. What do you mean he's good? Not only that, they said it was a back injury. Yeah. So now all of a sudden they're like, head, back, this doesn't add up.
Yeah, which one is it?
Yeah, they have to play. Now they have to play 3 days later on Thursday night. And everyone's like, there's no way he's playing. Right before halftime again. Gets tackled, back of the head hits the ground, and he's on the ground like this. And so now, basically, the whole NFL's under fire. They fired the independent doctor that cleared him, and it's just the whole scheme now.
God, that's horrible.
That is terrible.
So I heard that there was like some talk about him like possibly being paralyzed, but he's not, right? Like everything is okay?
At first, that's what it looked like. He had to been at least a little bit because his fingers were all messed up.
Yeah.
He went to the doctor,
was,
they
like,
flew him home.
in like fencing position, which is what they call it, where he's like all like shriveled up
Yep.
from all that.
I didn't know that
And
that's
that's how you can like tell basically like that the doctor, the first doctor, the independent doctor was like wrong about everything because how are you going to say that's a back injury and let him go back in? Like I don't.
So obviously the injuries are like they're correlated, right? Like they think that
They have
the
to,
reason it was
yep.
so bad is because the first injury was untreated.
So the NFL's doing an investigation now as to whether the Miami Dolphins followed the protocols and whether there was some sort of scheme that sort of let him get back in the game because he's their star guy. They need him to win. They're starting hot. And so they're trying to see if they broke the rules.
Gosh, that's
And
tragic.
as a non-football player, what happens if he did break the rules?
Nothing would happen to him. I mean, he's obviously got head trauma now, and people are calling for him to maybe even retire.
How old is he?
Yeah,
Do
what's
you know?
his?
This is his 2nd year in the league, so it's really, it sucks for him.
Yeah, that's
And,
horrible.
You know, but the Miami Dolphins got in trouble last offseason for tampering around the league, so it's not the first little
They're
thing.
under fire
Yeah.
right now. It's not
Crazy.
looking good.
Gosh, well, I wish him a speedy recovery because
Yeah, me
that's
too.
tragic.
Yeah, well, in other devastating news, Florida Hurricane Ian just took a big toll on Fort Myers, and what people don't know is that it also took a toll on Cuba, which was the first hurricane ever to completely wipe the nation out of its power. So all of Cuba had no power for
my
a full, I think,
God.
24, 48 hours. Insane.
Wow.
It also, people don't know that, it went through Fort Myers, taking like a weird curve, regained its hurricane power, and then slammed into South Carolina. Like, I think registering as like a Category 1 hurricane. And Ian is going to be one of the most costly hurricanes that ever happened to Florida, making their repairs around $180 billion to 210.
Oh
my
my
God.
gosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
things are calming down. I mean, obviously, like New York, especially Long Island, received like a lot of rain from that,
Yeah.
and clearly not as devastating. That's horrible.
And
Yeah.
I have family that lives down in Florida, and they live on this little tiny island that is not near the Keys. I'm not too familiar with the name, but basically they have this one-way bridge that goes into where they
Yeah.
live, and that was completely wiped out. So they can't get food, they can't get any resources like
so they're
into
basically
where
an
they live,
island
and they're
right now.
stuck.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
so whoever has a boat, like that's bet to get out of there as of
Yeah.
right now, but like they have to
I
repair
mean,
the
maybe
bridge.
not even because the
No.
water's
Exactly,
going to
it's
be incredibly choppy.
It's
Yeah.
really choppy. So my aunt is like, you know, kind of freaking out down there as one
Reasonable.
would.
Yep.
But yeah, she's just like the whole area is just
Yeah.
devastated, and it's like really, it's just so
They
sad
got-
that.
I think the storm surge was like 9 feet of water.
Wow.
Imagine that in your house.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were
insane.
a lot of videos of.
Yeah, I saw people like
devastating
getting ready
acts,
for it
uh-huh.
too. They
Yeah.
were like taping up garbage bags on their TVs. They're like, hopefully it helps because I only
garbage
can pack up my car with this amount of stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, imagine that. Like,
And I
that's
also, I had
awful.
the same thing. My friend's family just moved down there, bought a house in Fort Myers, I think 2 weeks ago, and their house is completely destroyed. And they
Oh my
just moved down
God.
there. They're like registered as like homeless right now because
It's
they don't
interesting.
have a house.
You mentioned Cuba. I didn't even know like Cuba was
It
affected.
wasn't
Yeah, I didn't know
And I
either.
have family in Puerto Rico because I'm Puerto Rican. And when the hurricane happened there a few years ago, you know, that's a
Yeah.
province of the U.S. And the stuff with resources and everything was crazy there. Like people
Mhm.
weren't getting. We would send stuff that they wouldn't get. And
that's
so
so nice.
even
That's great.
whoever them, like in Cuba, who is just a communist country, I'm interested to see how
Yeah.
they recover from
Yeah.
that.
I mean, Puerto
really.
Rico also never recovered from like that hurricane. I forget what it was in 2012. Like they still have like power grid problems. Like they can't get like food and certain stuff. It's still like very, very bad out there.
It's very, very tragic. It's
I
horrible.
feel for the people down
yeah,
there.
me too.
like,
Oh my gosh.
it really
Anyway,
sucks.
we're going to bring you over to a new segment that the Oval has, and we're going to be talking about entertainment. So we're going to send you over to Mo and Grace.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Grace.
It's Mo.
And just a little bit about ourselves. We are both first years and both in media studies.
Media studies.
And today we are going just to talk about the new document, Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
So what was your first impression?
My first impression? I really felt sensitive about this topic because knowing about like this murder was like killing people of color, you know, other races too, like LGBT community, like me being part of it as well. Felt a bit sensitive, like, you know. Like,
Yeah, me too, totally. I feel like, if anything, it just shocked me to see everything going down. And it was also nice how they had some of the victims' backstories, because for most documents, it's usually just the serial killer and what he does and not anything about the victim or the victims' families. So I think that's kind of what I liked about it, but I still think, well, it's also crazy because this happened in real time. Like,
yeah.
in reality. When
It's
I was
crazy.
watching it, I was like, oh, like this didn't happen. It happened, like it's real.
You know what I hate? When like people idolize serial killers.
I know.
Like,
people like Ted Bundy, people like John
you
Wayne
know,
Gacy.
because I was scrolling through TikTok the other day, and I see this person talking like, "Oh, he can like do this to me. He can rail me," and stuff like that. I was like,
Ew.
"You don't even joke about like things like that."
No,
like, bro,
right,
seriously.
right.
And personally, I believe that this guy did not deserve a documentary. Like any type of murderers do not deserve a platform. Like, you know, like being.
I don't think so either. I really don't think
And
so.
having like the like directors, like the family members, not knowing about this documentary.
I know, they weren't even notified, which is like, how can you make a documentary
Yeah.
about something that involves you and your personal life?
And like families were like saying that they didn't want like to be like this out, so like they didn't get really much consent, like, you know.
I know.
And like, okay, let's start talking about like the police, like how like the police ignored it.
I know,
when the phone
Dahmer
call-
could have been stopped easily way before he started killing multiple people,
Yeah.
but the police neglected it.
Nigga.
He could have been stopped if it wasn't for the racism and the
Yeah.
homophobia. But
Oh.
you know, I think one victim that really hurt the most was Anthony Hughes. I think it's because he had the whole entire
Bias
episode.
was bias.
Yeah, he had the whole entire episode and backstory of him. I had to literally pause
I didn't
during
watch.
the
I
episode.
didn't watch it because me and my
It was so. I was like, I can't
me
watch
and my
this.
friends were watching like clips of it, and once I saw like that like specific scene show up like with him, like that episode, I couldn't. I had to leave the room.
It was
'cause,
just
like,
so heartbreaking.
I couldn't like. I couldn't even watch the last episode. I had to stop it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
like it. Like,
I know, but I did see that an interview with Evan Peters that he did for Netflix. He basically went over the fact that the directors really wanted to emphasize, you know, not what he did, but just the respect for like the families and the victims themselves.
yeah, but like, you know, like Netflix is like, you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all for today, guys.
Thank you, Tess.
Thank you, Tess. Thanks for watching our segment, and we'll bring it back to Tess.
Bye.
Welcome back. Thank you so much, Grace and Mo, for that disturbing story, but I think it's very, very important that we remember the victims and their families. To end on a lighter note, we're going to discuss some of the fact that concerts have been on the rise since the pandemic started to subside.
This is one of my favorite things because I'm a big concert girl. But literally everyone and their mother was on tour this year, and it was like the best year for like concerts. Like everything since the pandemic, it was so sad, like during that time, very like dry period for everyone who loves concerts, festivals, all that stuff. But now we're picking it up. So we got people like Tyler, the Creator, Tame Impala, Kid Cudi,
Harry
Styles, and then
Post
they
Malone.
Also, Post Malone too, yeah.
He had a tragic accident.
Little
Yeah,
accident
You guys heard about that?
with the ribs.
Yeah, he's actually going.
What ended up happening with that? How did that whole thing?
So the floor was open. They didn't. There's people that were making the stage. They didn't make it right. So there was like a hole, and he like stepped through the hole, and there was like a
rib got
break.
caught.
He fell directly on his rib, and it cracked. And like he was like rolling on the
God.
stage, like
Yeah,
in
it's
didn't he
agony.
still
horrible.
perform? Didn't he finish the concert?
I heard somebody
know.
saying that. I don't know if that's true, but I
Yeah.
did hear someone. Our roommates are actually going to see Post Malone
Yeah.
tomorrow,
nice.
so
They'll
I'm wondering. I
update
bet
us.
you he had a
Cool, good
nice
to know.
recovery.
whereabouts and his recovery process.
I mean, if he's
But-
still having a show, I'm sure he's doing a lot better now.
Yeah.
But really, wasn't that long ago that he broke his rib and he's still
fell.
performing. So I mean,
yeah.
good for him, but it's still terrible.
And
Yeah.
do we know like any upcoming artists that are like having concerts soon?
Well, Harry
So-
Styles is on a
Well,
tour
we know
right
Harry
now.
Styles. She is
Yeah,
sold out
he-
Madison
he
Square
been
Garden.
doing
15
it.
nights in a
Oh,
row.
that's
Lex and I
insane.
had the
Good for
privilege of
him.
seeing him pit
Yeah.
front
You
row.
guys, too.
Yeah.
Oh, that was an
Holy.
experience.
And
So-
I'll be honest, the first concert I ever saw was when Offset was here a couple weeks ago. And
Shout
I-
out Suni
Yeah,
Oneonta.
and I knew maybe one song, but I was still bopping my head and I was doing my thing. I acted like
Concert's
I
a
knew
concert,
it.
you know?
And so I was like, I'm gonna be doing this more often out here. Post Malone, that's my guy, or him and Tory Lanez. So I'm gonna be looking on the internet to see.
Looking for tickets.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
scout for tickets out there.
I feel
Tame
like
Impala,
artists are
too.
also having like a lot of new albums come out. Like
Oh,
since
yes.
the pandemic
Yeah.
has ended,
Kendrick
I feel like
Lamar.
yeah,
big
Kung
one.
Fu
Baby
Kenny.
Keem. I love them. Oh my God.
Oh, it's gonna be a good year for music for sure.
Oh, for sure.
For
Like
sure.
Baby Keem's one of my favorite people ever. I think I talked about this last year as well. But yeah, they did a great tour. I went to their show. The most energy I've ever seen in a crowd is like for Baby Keem. I've never been to a concert like that before.
I never
And I
heard
was.
of him.
What would
He's
you say?
good. He's really
Never
good.
heard of Baby
Oh,
Keem.
you gotta
Kendrick
listen,
Lamar's
man.
Put him
He's
on.
great.
He's really good. He's
He
really
is
good.
so good, so hype. And just the energy of all of his fans, like it's like since COVID happened, like you really like energy kind of died with a bunch of people
Oh,
and like
yeah.
concerts
I mean,
and
'cause it
like
was scary
We
to go.
experienced that firsthand when we were at the Harry Styles concert. It's like you don't really.
Yeah.
People used to like live in the moment. They like want to see their favorite artist performing.
Yeah,
Like
everybody-
everyone's sitting there with their
Lighters.
phones up, recording.
Phones
He
up.
comes over to the corner of us. Everyone's like leaning
Yeah,
over.
and
Like
I'm
I just want to sing and
see,
dance.
I want to see his
like,
crisp
Yeah.
face, like right in my
In the
face,
moment, yeah.
for real. But yeah, so I don't know. But with Keem, everyone just moshes. No one has their phone. Like everyone's just like going crazy to music. So like that's
Is that
my
the
favorite
same
thing.
for Kendrick Lamar too? I feel
Yeah,
like that's the
Kendrick,
same aura.
his whole set was like just art, like literal art. Like, and it's the same thing too. You can like jump around to it, whatever. but
Mosh
he's
pit if you want,
if you
yeah.
will. But yeah, no, he was just a great performer. It was one of my favorites that I've been to this year, as well as Harry Styles.
So great.
But
So great.
Oh, God,
Tame
it was
Impala.
great.
Tame
Tame
Impala was
Impala was
amazing.
great.
He's amazing.
If I recommend,
sets.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna recommend a concert, for sure Tame Impala.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are not into his music, but like still,
Like even the
it's like a light show,
Light
too.
show,
It's a
yeah.
light show
Yeah.
also.
It's when he like starts off the concert, he has like a whole like 2-minute long video that like you're watching,
Yeah.
like all the audience is like, holy,
a whole
like, what's
story.
going
Drawn
on? Yeah, like
in.
you're watching, and then like he just switches to like Nangs or something, and the
Yeah.
crowd's going crazy. It's
amazing.
such a
Oh,
fun
Anyone
Concerts
been
are
to a
amazing.
Pitbull concert?
No, I wish.
Oh, I
That's-
did want to go. He
I
was
wish.
on
He was
tour.
he was at Jones Beach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Could have gone.
Did you?
Mr.
No,
Worldwide.
I was wondering what the experience was like, so I guess
I bet
I'm
it's
a
awesome.
Big
I imagine
Pitbull
a whole
guy?
bunch of.
How could you not be a
Friday
big
nights,
Pitbull guy,
Friday
right?
nights, that's all I hear is Pitbull. I'm like,
Yeah,
funny.
everyone should keep an eye out for some good concerts because I'm sure there's going to be a lot more this year.
Oh yeah, Bands in Town, the app, download it.
Yeah.
Great app to find tickets, we might add, but
For
not
sure.
sponsored, but you know.
Not sponsored.
no free shout-outs.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for joining us today, and we will see you next week.
Hi guys.